So you too are one of those who rave about modern women, those miserable, hysterical, feminine creatures who don't appreciate a real man in their somnambulistic search for some dream man and masculine ideal. Amid tears and convulsions they daily outrage their Christian duties. They cheat, and are cheated. They always seek again and choose and reject. They are never happy and never give happiness. They accuse fate instead of calmly confessing they want to love, and live as Helen and Aspasia lived. Nature admits of no permanence in the relation between man and woman. But, my dear lady, let me finish. It is only man's egoism which wants to keep woman like some buried treasure. All endeavours to introduce permanence in love, the most changeable thing in this changeable human existence, have gone shipwreck, in spite of religious ceremonies, vows, and legalities. Can you deny that our Christian world has given itself over to corruption? But you are about to say, the individual who rebels against the arrangements of society is ostracized, branded, stoned. So be it. I am willing to take the risk. My principles are very pagan. I will live my own life as it pleases me. I am willing to do without your hypocritical respect. I prefer to be happy. The inventors of the Christian marriage have done well, simultaneously to invent immortality. I, however, have no wish to live eternally. When with my last breath everything as far as Wanda von Dunaju is concerned comes to an end here below, what does it profit me whether my pure spirit joins the choirs of angels, or whether my dust goes into the formation of new beings? Shall I belong to one man whom I don't love merely because I have once loved him? No, I do not renounce. I love everyone who pleases me, and give happiness to everyone who loves me. Is that ugly? No. It is more beautiful by far than if cruelly I enjoy the tortures which my beauty excites, and virtuously reject the poor fellow who is pining away from me. I am young, rich, and beautiful, and I live serenely for the sake of pleasure and enjoyment. While she was speaking her eyes sparkled roguishly, and I had taken hold of her hands without exactly knowing what to do with them, but being a genuine dilettante, I hastily let go of them again. "Your frankness," I said, "delights me, and not it alone." My confounded dilettantism again throttled me as though there were a rope about my neck. "You were about to say—" "I was about to say, I am sorry, I interrupted you." "How so?" A long pause. She is doubtless engaging in a monologue, which translated into my language would be comprised in the single word, donkey. "If I may ask," I finally began, "how did you arrive at these conclusions?" "Quite simply. My father was an intelligent man. From my cradle onward I was surrounded by replicas of ancient art. At 10 years of age I read Gil Blas, at 12 La Pucelle. Where others had Hop o' My Thumb, Bluebeard, Cinderella as childhood friends, mine were Venus and Apollo, Hercules and Laocoon. My husband's personality was filled with serenity and sunlight. Not even the incurable illness which fell upon him soon after our marriage could long cloud his brow. On the very night of his death he took me in his arms, and during the many months when he lay dying in his wheelchair he often said jokingly to me, 'Well, have you already picked out a lover?' I blushed with shame. 'Don't deceive me,' he added on one occasion. 'That would seem ugly to me. But pick out an attractive lover, or preferably several. You are a splendid woman, but still half a child, and you need toys.' I suppose I hardly need to tell you that during his lifetime I had no lover, but it was through him that I have become what I am, a woman of Greece." A goddess, I interrupted. Which one? She smiled. Venus. She threatened me with her fingers and knitted her brows. Perhaps even a Venus in furs? Watch out, I have a large, very large fur, with which I could cover you up entirely, and I have a mind to catch you in it as in a net. Do you believe, I said quickly, for an idea which seemed good in spite of its conventionality and triteness flashed into my head, do you believe that your theories could be carried into execution at the present time? That Venus would be permitted to stray with impunity among our railroads and telegraphs in all her undraped beauty and serenity? Undraped, of course not. But in furs, he replied, smiling. Would you care to see mine? And then... What then? Beautiful, free, serene, and happy human beings, such as the Greeks were, are only possible when it is permitted to have slaves who will perform the prosaic tasks of every day for them, and above all else, labor for them. Of course, she replied playfully, an Olympian divinity such as I am requires a whole army of slaves. Beware of me. Why? I myself was frightened at the heartiness with which I uttered this why. It did not startle her in the least. She drew back her lips a little so that her small white teeth became visible, and then said lightly, as if she were discussing some trifling matter, Do you want to be my slave? There is no equality in love, I replied solemnly. Whenever it is a matter of choice for me, of ruling or being ruled, it seems much more satisfactory to me to be the slave of a beautiful woman. But where shall I find a woman who knows how to rule calmly, full of self-confidence, even harshly, and not seek to gain her power by means of petty nagging? Oh, that might not be so difficult. You think... I, for instance, she laughed and leaned far back, I have a real talent for despotism. I also have the necessary furs. But last night you were really seriously afraid of me. Quite seriously. And now? Now I am more afraid of you than ever. We are together every day, I and Venus. We are together a great deal. We breakfast in my honeysuckle arbor, and have tea in her little sitting-room. I have an opportunity to unfold all my small, very small talents. Of what use would have been my studying all the various sciences, my playing at the arts, if I were unable in the case of a pretty little woman? But this woman is by no means little. In fact, she impresses me tremendously. I made a drawing of her today, and felt particularly clearly how inappropriate the modern way of dressing is for a cameo head like hers. The configuration of her face has little of the Roman, but much of the Greek. Sometimes I should like to paint her as Psyche, and then again as Astarte. It depends upon the expression in her eyes, whether it is vaguely dreamy or half-consuming, filled with tired desire. She, however, insists that it be a portrait likeness. I shall make her a present of furs. How could I have any doubts? If not for her, for whom would princely furs be suitable? End of section 1.